Welcome, everybody, to the first ever SLUH SPORTSCAST. I am the founder of the SPORTSCAST and the host, Ken Veland, along with my ever-faithful co-host,
Chuck.
And joining us as a guest today for at least some of the time, we have
Griffin Lester here.
And this is going to be a little bit more structured of a show than our Anything Goes show, or maybe even our movie podcast, because, everybody's got different expertise, if you will, when it comes to the sports that they know best. So, for example, I know hockey a lot better than I know baseball, but Chuck and Griff over here know baseball very well. So we're hoping to get a good balance between our guests every week and our topics that we cover. So this week we got 4 topics, and the first topic we're going to start off with is this Cardinals season. It just started, and my question is, what are your guys' impressions from the start of the season, and what do you think this says about the season going forward?
Well, to start off with, Mike Matheny has not changed since the year before, but that's okay. We knew that wasn't going to happen. I think I'm very excited about this group this year. They're very, very energized and motivated. I think it helps with Dexter Fowler being along for the ride. I also think a couple of the other big offseason, Brett Cecil, Dexter Fowler, extending Yadier Molina, Carlos Martinez, and a couple of days ago, Steven Piscotty. So I think we're set up to give the Cubs a run for their money, and we had a good game 1, very good game 1. Game 2 didn't go so well, but that's okay. A couple of managing issues, but I won't get into that because I won't stop.
Yeah, you've always been a critic of Matheny. I thought the Cards looked very good game 1.
They did. I think the one issue Mike Matheny made was not. I agree with letting Carlos Martinez pitch into the 8th because he had 8 strikeouts and he was pitching pretty efficiently, but I think instead of bringing in someone out for 5 outs, because everybody knows you should not bring in a closer for 5 outs, you should have brought in Brett Cecil to finish it off the 8th inning and then bring in someone off for the 9th. Mm-hmm. However, he did not do that because he does not have a brain. Therefore, I don't know. We'll just see. I think he's a very good guy. I went to the speech a month or 2 ago when he came to SLUH. He's a very awesome guy. I just think he has some loose ends to fix.
You mentioned Martinez. I saw. I didn't see the whole game yesterday, but from what I saw of Wainwright, he did not look very good. I saw a pitch where he threw it straight into the ground.
Yeah.
Is Martinez ready to take over our best pitcher as our best pitcher?
Yes, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think. That's why he got opening day. Why he got the number one slot, and I think you know what you're going to get from Adam Wainwright, because I think yesterday. I said before, I was thinking before the game, if he only gives up 2 or 3 runs, he's going to give you a chance to win, and that's what happened. We just couldn't hit against Arrieta. I think definitely a difference between Wainwright and Arrieta. Every inning, I could feel like Wainwright was working. He had 20 pitches in the first inning, and every inning I was a little nervous, whereas Arrieta, strikeout after strikeout. And he started to fall apart a little bit in 6, but I think Wainwright was solid. I think a couple of miscues defensively, and that just one bad inning, really, but
I still love Waino because even though he's not the number 1 guy anymore, he's still that veteran leader on our staff. Martinez is a young guy. He still has a couple years under his belt, and his skill puts him at the top of the rotation. But you still have Waino, who's very down to earth. He's willing to help out the younger guys, and I'm just hoping he has a bounce back season from last year.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good point about veterans in the locker room. I actually, when I was driving home the other day, I was listening to KMOX, and they had an interview with Matheny with a guy I know you guys don't like, Joe Buck, was doing the interview. But they said the LaRussa talked about how important that was in the times he won the World Series, about having veteran voices in the locker room to help the team really rally and come together to win. So hopefully we see more of that this year.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I think Wainwright, he's got 1 more year left, so depending, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Obviously, it was a no-brainer bringing Yadi back, and that's exactly what they did because, as we were talking about with Martinez, Yadi's really made him into what he is. I think also he's had some struggles. His best friend's Oscar Taveras. He's gone through some struggles. So I think that matured him a lot, but having Yadi there also as kind of a mentor really helps. I think you also have guys like quiet guys. Like I know I'm a little biased towards this, but Johnny Peralta, he's been around the league for a while, and he's a soft-spoken guy, gentle giant, as they say. But I think he helped Colton Wong a lot. I was reading in Cardinal magazines he helped Carlos Martinez a lot. Just mentoring them, and so I think we have a good group.
Good. Okay. Cool. And talking about kind of that voice too, I've always wondered. One thing I notice as a very casual Cardinals viewer is how well Molina is able to calm down pitchers and really get them back into their game. So now that we've signed Molina, do you guys see him coming into a role of maybe part of the coaching staff in the future?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, his brothers Benji and Jose have taken similar paths, and he's just one of those guys who's grown up with baseball. He's obviously lived the baseball dream, and I don't think he'll ever kind of put baseball away for the rest of his life.
That's great. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
And also in these games, we've gotten to see the Cubs since their unfortunate World Series win back in October. So how do you think that team has changed? Obviously, they've kind of become the darlings of baseball with That's going on the list. Okay. They've become the darlings of baseball with the season they had last year. And how do you guys think they're going to change this year?
Well, first of all, if you give a brief overview of the offseason, they lost a couple big pieces. Dexter Fowler coming over to St. Louis is huge. Aroldis Chapman too. They got John Jay. They got Wade Davis. I think they shored up the team. They kept it. They maintained the team that they had. I think they could have had chances to get better, and I think they downgraded a little bit. Cardinals upgraded, but there's still a gap. So I think. They did what they needed to do, but I think they'll be okay. Are they going to repeat? No. Are they going to win division? Yes. And they're going to make a deep run into October. But I think teams like Washington, Cleveland, if they met in the World Series again, I think that those teams are just too much of a powerhouse for them to handle.
All right, and one last question to kind of end this baseball Cardinals segment we got right here is that whether it's in 5 weeks or 5 months, what is a move that you guys see the Cardinals making that can really make them better and shore up a deep playoff run this year?
I haven't really thought that far.
I have, kind of. I think I don't. There are a couple. The teams kind of. I think I don't know if messed up's a nice word, the right word. But it's kind of weird having Matt Carpenter at first, Johnny Peralta at third, where Carpenter is a natural third baseman, signed Peralta as a shortstop. It's all kind of messed up a little bit. Matt Adams playing in left field. Like, that's just ridiculous, I think. Overall, I think Johnny Peralta's going to go. He has, 5 strikeouts and 6 at-bats or whatever it is. And he did have a single. But other than that, he hasn't done anything. I think he's going to be packaged in a move that by the trading deadline that will bring in what we need. I think our bullpen's good. I think we haven't seen the entire rotation yet, obviously. I think with Martinez at the helm, it's going to be good. I think Walker had a good spring. I think the rotation will be fine. I think we will need another infielder or two to shore up the defense, and we really need with Peralta hitting cleanup, that's a problem, but the other problem is that we don't really have a cleanup hitter in our lineup. Who else is going to hit cleanup? So
Scotty?
I think, he could. I just think overall, I think another infielder, I think you're going to have to fix third base. And I think that means Peralta will see his time in St. Louis come to an end, unfortunately.
So the thing that worries me, I'll get this in really quick, is ever since the end of last year was the rotation. The rotation had a really high ERA overall. I mean, Martinez did fine, but you have question marks behind Wainwright. He's getting older, so he can be good this year. Mike Leake, we've paid him $80 million for 5 years. That's a big chunk of change for a very mediocre pitcher. And, so we have question marks around them. If they underperform, we might see someone come up like Luke Weaver from AAA, maybe Marco Gonzalez. Obviously, Reyes being hurt plays a factor into that too, but you might see someone coming through the trade deadline too.
Alrighty, cool. So our next topic is going to be Stanley Cup predictions. We are almost at the end of the season, days away from the end of the NHL season, and you guys know I'm going to talk your heads off about this, but I'm going to start off with letting you guys know what teams are going to be in the playoffs this year. All but 2 of these teams are for sure going to be in the playoffs, and the other 2 are essentially locks, but Of course, you could see a change, but it'd be very rare, and I don't see it. But teams in the playoffs this year, for the Western Conference, we have the Chicago Blackhawks at the top of the Central Division, the Minnesota Wild second, the St. Louis Blues currently sitting third in the Central Division. You have the Anaheim Ducks, Edmonton Oilers, and San Jose, 1, 2, and 3 for the Pacific Division. And as our wild card teams, we have Calgary and Nashville. And that is the position there on the standings is current. That could always change, but the teams are all locks. In the Atlantic, we have the Montreal Canadiens, the Ottawa Senators, and the Boston Bruins. The Metropolitan, we have the Capitals, the Penguins, and the Blue Jackets. And in the wild card positions, we have the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm going to start off with my picks. Right now, I see the Maple Leafs winning the East. They got a good young team this year. You've seen Mitch Marner, Nylander, of course, Austin Matthews. All of them have emerged, and if they've shown one thing this year is that they're a hungry team and they are ready to reverse years of bad fortune in Toronto. Everybody knows in St. Louis about the Blues' cup drought. Well, the Maple Leafs, of course, have won a cup, but their cup drought is the exact same length as the Blues. So it has been quite a long time since that city has seen a championship. And now that they have Frederik Andersen pretty much lights out in goal right now, they're looking great going into the postseason. And going in the the Western Conference, I have the Blackhawks going to the Stanley Cup. I know I'm just as sad as anybody else, but that team has been unstoppable this month. The Blues have been playing great, but the Blackhawks have been playing even better. This year they have something to fight for, whereas the last year the Blues had to kind of come in and prove that they could beat the Blackhawks. This year the Blackhawks are going to want to come in and say, hey, we can beat the Blues after last year's upset. So I do think the Blackhawks will probably beat Toronto. I think they have the experience. They're just the better team. I see the Blackhawks being the champions this year, unfortunately. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
So obviously I don't know as much about hockey than you do, Ken, but I really like the Blue Jackets this year. I think
Blue Jackets.
I know they were one of the worst teams I think last year, and I really like their rise to being one of these great teams. I remember early in the season they scored like 10 goals one game, and then they scored like 8 against the Blues. And I mean, you got guys like Cam Atkinson that can shoot the puck really nice. Sergei Bobrovsky's had a really good year again in goal. So I'd like to see a team like that who kind of comes from the lower part of the league and come up and do well in the playoffs. In terms of the Western Conference, I would have to say the Wild. I know your pick for the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have that winning culture, and they could very easily continue that. But I think the Wild have had a great year again with Dubnyk in goal, and I think they have a lot of momentum going into this playoffs.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there about momentum. The Wild have been they have been one of the worst teams in the NHL recently. They had a very comfortable lead for first in the Western Conference. At the trade deadline. They were the consensus pick for first in the West, definitely the consensus pick for first in Central, and now the Blackhawks have a 6-point lead, and they have clinched first in the Central. So I gotta say, I would have probably agreed with you for the Wild had it been a month ago, but seeing what's happened now, I just don't see. I think that the Blues will beat the Wild if they end up playing them, and
I'm certainly rooting for them.
Yeah, of course, I will root for the Blues. Everybody knows I'm rooting for the Blues to win the Stanley Cup this year, but I have to be honest with myself sometimes, and gotta call it when I see it. And I don't think this is the year for them, unfortunately. But if you get in the playoffs, you always have a chance, so you never know. Chuck, do you have anything to say on the matter?
Hockey, I like the helmets. Very cool. Like as far as the goalie helmets, reminds me of a very good old-time catcher, John Buck, back in the day. Other than that, I think I mean, this is from an outsider's point of view. I'm not as big of a baseball person as I am a hockey person.
You're not as big of a hockey person as you are a baseball person.
My bad. Yes. We'll edit that one out.
We don't have the budget. We don't have the budget.
Yeah,
No.
I'm making for the sake of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Blues have it. They don't have Oshie. They don't have, even though Oshie was a problem in the clubhouse or locker room, whatever it's called. They gave up Brian Elliott. Again, I don't know everything top to bottom like I do with the Cardinals and with MLB, but I know I would have to say with the other teams in there, especially the Blackhawks, they always have our number except for last year. I don't think the Blues have it, but as far as who I would pick, I don't know. I really don't know.
Give us a team, Chuck.
I really don't know.
Give us any team.
I guess
Chuck's
I'll
pick.
go Blackhawks. I like Chicago.
Chuck's going to go with the Blackhawks.
You know hockey, so I'll go Blackhawks.
All right, so me and Chuck are going Blackhawks. Griffin is going Wild. You didn't say, do you think if it was the Wild and the Blue Jackets in the finals, who do you think would win?
I would say Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets. Yep. Griff is going with Blue Jackets. Me and Chuck are going with Minnesota. I don't think any of us are really going to be too happy if that ends up being the case. But me and Chuck are going for Chicago, but of course Chicago would be devastating. But that is our predictions nonetheless. Next up, just starting tomorrow, we have the Masters tournament. It is going to be, we have off school, I'm sure, at least me and Griffin, I know for sure, are going to watch that.
Cannot wait.
And what are your feelings this year?
So golf, I love watching golf. I love playing golf. I don't watch it very often, but of course I know the mainstream players. I've always loved McIlroy. He's always been one of my favorite guys, and I love Spieth. Spieth is a really young kid, and he plays almost as well as Tiger in his prime. He's such a controlled putter, and he's always very consistent with his drives and everything. So I could see a young guy like him, like Spieth, winning it again. I mean, just with his incredible talent at that young age.
Good point. Now, you'll have to remind me here. I know 2014 was Bubba Watson the second time he won. And then, now, did Spieth win in 2015 or 2016?
I'm pretty sure it was 2015 because I think Danny Willett won last year.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of a lower name, but yeah, he had a great tournament last year too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. It should be a fun Masters. No Tiger. He has back spasm once again, but
quote unquote.
Yeah, I think of course, respect Tiger's game, his golf game for what he did a couple years ago. But I think everybody can agree he's fallen off
unfortunately,
fallen off the cliff a little bit. So it's not going to be too much of a. It's not like we were really expecting him to win, but he will not be in it this year nonetheless. I think I like just the atmosphere of the Masters. It's got that old-timey golf feel.
I mean, Augusta is so beautiful.
Just watching it on the TV screen makes you, just the vibrancy of it almost makes you feel like you're there, honestly. It's incredible.
Yes,
and the vibrancy?
Yeah.
Okay. And, but yeah, now, Griff, what's your favorite Masters memory from any Masters?
Oh, man. I don't really remember watching many of the earlier Masters, but I do remember when Phil won. Mm-hmm. I think that was back when I was in grade school, and Phil was the coolest guy to me, behind Tiger, of course, because everyone liked Tiger. Mm-hmm. But my dad always was a big Phil fan, and so just watching him put on the green jacket, that was really cool. I mean, just about every Masters, creates some great memories, but I think that one really sticks out.
Cool. Mine is, I remember this is a 2012 Masters. Bubba Watson wins it for the first time. And I remember we were sitting in this is at my grade school, and we were sitting in the lunchroom. And I had a friend at grade school who was really into golf. He's a great golfer to this day. Best golfer I've ever played with. And he asked me who I think is going to win the Masters, and I told him Bubba Watson is going to win the Masters. And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, this year Bubba Watson is going to win." And I really like Bubba because I'm a left-handed golfer, and I knew he was a left-handed golfer, and I just thought it was cool how he had such an unorthodox swing. And I remember watching him when he hit it in the trees. I was just like, "Oh no!" in the playoff hole, and he ended up getting it on the green, his next shot, out of the trees. And then I just remember when he sunk the putt, just embracing his caddy and just tears. What a cool moment that was. Yeah. That is my favorite Masters memory.
Bubba is such a unique golfer. I saw this special on him one time, like a documentary type thing. He's never received a golf lesson in his life.
It's nuts.
And he's got such an odd personality. Like sometimes it's like really not personable at all, and he kind of like shuns you. He's just really odd, but I mean, he's obviously a fantastic golfer. He's got that big, booming, like 400-yard drive, and yeah, I could see him doing well too.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the same program, but I watched a Faraday with him, and that's kind of like that. Yeah. He's like on his kind of ranch.
Yeah.
And that was where I got to learn about him, and that was awesome. So it's a little bit of a shorter show today. We had some issues getting it to start up earlier. We apologize if the audio isn't completely up to snuff still, but it should at least be audible. And we're going to just close it up here with brief thoughts on STL probably not getting an MLS team after last night's votes. Do you guys have any thoughts on that and kind of feelings of what the MLS team could have been?
So I know it was a close margin. I think
53%
voted against it, and there was a difference of 3,000 votes. So I mean, it was very closely contested. Could have gone either way, really. Of course, being a sports fan overall, and wanting to support the city, I would have loved having an MLS team. Obviously, St. Louis is a great soccer town. A lot of great select programs, and STLFC run through here too. Adam's silently cheering for that. So I could have seen them doing really well downtown. Maybe would have helped spur some of the economy in the city. But unfortunately, probably will not happen.
Yeah, I agree with you with everything on that. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't live in the city, and that it's not my place to get a decision on whether the city will have an MLS team. So I completely respect city people who live in the city saying this is not what we want. So I have no issues there. Personally, I agree with Griff. I think it would have been good for the city, but alas, it looks like it will not happen. And there's Charlie is keeping a list of words that he thinks are unique that I say, and that alas is apparently going on the list. But all right, I think that's gonna end up our show today. I know it was a little short. Hopefully next week we have a couple more guests, and we can get a couple more topics in. But it's almost 4 o'clock. Got a little bit of a late start, and I think that is going to be it for us this time. So thank you so much for listening to the first sports show. Hopefully we can change up a couple things, make it a little more streamlined, a little more focused, a couple more topics, and we will see you next time. Thank you.